Timeless, faultless, and this is current. Hours after Pope Benedict called for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, both sides announced a halt in hostilities. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, now in Cairo, played a key role in getting the agreement with the help of Egypt.
This is a critical moment for the region. Egypt's new government is assuming the responsibility and leadership that has long made this country a cornerstone of regional stability and peace.
And the deal calls for a stop to all shooting and for Israel to stop targeted assassinations. The truce went into effect at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, whether it holds is another matter. Shortly before the ceasefire announcement, a terror bomb blew up a bus in Tel Aviv. 15 people were wounded. No one was killed, though. The explosion occurred as the bus passed in front of Israeli Defense Headquarters. Hamas praised the bombing, and throughout Gaza, gunfire rang out in celebration. Meantime, Catholics are praying on both sides of the Gaza border that the violence will truly stop. Father Yoel Salvatierra serves the Catholic community in Beersheba, Israel. He says prayers have no borders. There's suffering in Israel, suffering in Gaza, it's all just suffering. And he adds, we are praying for peace. Father Salvatierra spoke as 20 rockets exploded in Beersheba, and CNN's Wolf Blitzer was there.
The Hamas rockets came toward Beersheba and hit the ground, sending people scrambling for cover, even in residential neighborhoods. This house was hit by a rocket a few hours before we arrived, and from the outside, it didn't look too bad. But inside, it's another story. A mother and father and 4 of their children were inside the home. When it was hit, when the sirens went off, they had less than a minute to run into their safe room, and they made it. They survived. We did the procedure, the husband says. We went to the safe room, closed the door. We heard a big boom, and straight after that, an electric outage. He says the young girls were in a little hysteria. We were lucky we entered the safe room. His wife says their fear was at first for the family and to protect the children. Then later, when they saw the incredible damage, they were stunned. We will go to a hotel for a few days until they find us an alternative home, she says. Their 9-year-old daughter said she was frightened when she heard the initial siren and then the large explosion. An Israeli member of parliament who came to the house minced no words in what he thought Israel had to do.
All my sons, 4 of them in reserve, they're ready to go further.
But there's a major debate inside Israel on whether that's wise. A former Air Force commander and mayor of Beersheba says he hopes Israeli air and naval power alone can get the job done. While we were in this expanding and modern city, 11 Hamas rockets entered the vicinity. Some were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system. Others got through and caused casualties. We were allowed to go inside the Emergency Medical Command Center. Sirens alert them when rockets are incoming, and they brace for the onslaught of calls. We're inside this Israeli ambulance. We've just left the command center, heading towards an area where rockets just landed. And apparently they're injured and maybe even worse. We'll see what's going on. Lieutenant Sharon Howard is the Israeli Army liaison officer helping to coordinate medical care.
If they're in need, if there are many casualties, so also medical units of the Army also join the Magen-David Dome to take care of all the injuries.
Turns out it was a woman overwhelmed by fear during the rocket attack, very common these days. Back at the command center, the sirens kept going off.
And in Gaza, the explosions keep going off. And the project manager with the Pontifical Mission for Palestine describes conditions there as if they are living in hell. George Antone, who is in Gaza, says one member of the local parish died during a bombing run. He says the people are so afraid, not knowing where the next bomb will land. And these frightened people are on the run, as we hear from CNN's Ara Damon.
This is the first family we came across, barreling down the road. All they knew was that they did not dare stay at home. We left without knowing where to go, Aiqaf Ribai tells us, cradling her 4-month-old. They say they could hear explosions as they fled.
What has caused this mass exodus was the Israeli army dropping these leaflets warning residents in certain areas that they needed to depart immediately for Gaza City. And the leaflet even indicates specifically which routes they should take to stay safe.
And though few believed the Israelis, leaving was a better option than staying behind. Iqaf says their house was hit a few days ago.
So this is the second school that they have actually gone to looking for a safe place to stay, but it obviously was full as well, and now we're going with them to try out a third one.
It's already packed. People angrily move benches, staking their claim. There is another school, a young man gestures. Come with me. Amidst the frantic search, fear. 4 years ago, the last time Israel launched an operation in Gaza, a school was bombed. The Israelis said Hamas was using the cover of schools to fire rockets. But whatever the risk, for these families, there is no alternative.
This just gives you an idea of how chaotic the situation is. This is the fourth school that the family has been to now, looking for a place to stay.
Finally, they find a room. Come quickly. Iqaf calls the rest of the family as others help to clear space. She's exhausted and stunned. The children arrive talking breathlessly about seeing a ball of fire outside.
We're less than a minute away from the school, and while we were standing in there, we actually felt the windows of the building there shaking from an explosion, and it seems that this was the target.
Little reassurance for those that fled to stay safe.
Well, no one and nothing has been safe in Gaza before the ceasefire. The Catholics Near East Welfare Association is reporting that all of the Christian institutions in Gaza have sustained damage from the shelling. Well, besides death and destruction, the other constant in war, brutality, now on hideous display in Gaza. The pictures we're about to show you are disturbing. A dead man dragged by motorcycle through the streets of Gaza City, one of 6 Palestinians publicly executed by mass Hamas terrorists accused of being spies for Israel. Now, although the streets of the city have been largely empty due to the Israeli airstrikes on Gaza, they quickly filled with people as the gruesome spectacle unfolded. One of the gawkers told the Associated Press the dead men should have been killed in a more brutal fashion. Military experts are saying Hamas started this war by their rocket attacks on Israel, but the terrorists did not act alone. CNN's Brian Todd has those details.
Its name means dawn in Arabic, and it's considered a game changer for Hamas. The new Fajr 5 missile, with a much greater range than anything Hamas has had before, capable of striking Tel Aviv and Jerusalem from Gaza. It's now a menace to the Israeli population, and a major reason why this conflict has escalated. How did Hamas get this sophisticated system? An Israeli official tells CNN the Fajr 5 is from Iran. Matthew Levitt is an expert on Hamas with the Washington Institute.
The Israelis say that Hamas weapons experts are traveling with some of these weapons. That the weapons in some cases are delivered whole, but in more cases, especially for the larger ones, are delivered in parts.
Officials and analysts say this is part of an extensive pipeline of support from Iran to Hamas that has only grown in recent years, part of Iran's shadow war against Israel, the U.S., and their allies. U.S., Israeli, and Egyptian officials have long suspected that the pipeline works this way. Missiles and other weapons are flown from Iran into Sudan. They're then driven through eastern Sudan, across the Egyptian border, and to the Sinai Peninsula. An Israeli official told me some missiles are disassembled, brought through tunnels from Sinai into Gaza, then reassembled inside Gaza by Hamas. Egypt's government has, at certain times, tried to disrupt the pipeline. But Levitt says now
these weapon systems are being moved primarily by Sinai Bedouin criminal families. This is what they do. They are smugglers. They're good at what they do. And to take them on is something that the central government in Egypt, the Morsi government, does not want to do and may not even be all that capable of doing right now.
We were not able to get Egyptian officials to respond to that, but in recent months the Egyptian military has acknowledged that extremist groups and weapons are proliferating in Sinai. The Israeli official we spoke with says Hamas is also getting Grad missiles, other munitions from Iran, as well as communications, command and control systems. And the official says Hamas fighters and commanders have, for several years, received training inside Iran from the feared Revolutionary Guard. Contacted by CNN to respond to the reporting of an overall pipeline from Iran to Hamas, an Iranian official at the UN called the allegations baseless and unfounded.
CNN's Brian Todd reporting. Up next, he was only trying to help, but you may not believe how the city responded. As Currents continues after the break. Welcome back. Now a maddening Hurricane Sandy story about city bureaucracy run amok. Bobby Eustace is a firefighter out of the Bronx. On Sunday, he and his buddies went to the Rockaways. A lot of people there are still without food or water. So Bobby and friends bought the Firehouse Barbecue to cook up hot meals for the hungry. Well, that's when city health inspectors showed up, 2 of them. They issued a violation because the firefighters didn't have hairnets, a food license, or thermometers. Bobby says he asked the inspectors where he should go to get a license to feed hungry people. No comment yet from Mayor Bloomberg. The health department does say the inspectors made a mistake. Well, as best we can tell, no one asked Cardinal Dolan for his food license as he joined with Catholic Charities and the United Jewish Appeal to distribute holiday food baskets yesterday in Harlem. The crowd was larger than usual as storm victims came for help. Over in Park Slope, Brooklyn, the Helping Hands food pantry at St. Augustine's Church has been feeding hungry people for 20 years. Now, after the storm, they are needed more than ever, but they need money to provide the food. So they held a fundraiser, a fun-run event, and we were there.
Today is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and we have our annual fundraiser. It's a walk, bike, or run through Prospect Park to help the Helping Hand Food Pantry buy food for next year.
The work that the pantry does really does help families in need. These days, just making ends meet is difficult, so the food pantry helps folks, keep food on the table, and I think that's a worthy cause.
We get grants from the federal, state, and city governments to help us buy food for those in need in this area, but it's not enough.
So for St. Augustine's Helping Hands Food Pantry, we do a number of fundraising events throughout the year, always trying to incorporate the community. The community is essentially what the pantry serves.
That would be this area, Park Slope, Prospect Heights, downtown Brooklyn. And anyone in need in those areas can come and register with us.
I help out in the food pantry, lifting boxes and putting them on shelves, actually. So it was a natural, since I run, it's a natural thing for me to participate in this.
Because I always like to cooperate with them. I cooperated since starting last year, and I wanted to do it again, and whenever I'm healthy, I will do it.
Most people go out and they raise money by saying, I'm going to go run in the park or walk in the park. Would you donate to the pantry and sponsor me?
What I did was I just went up to the guys and the girls at the job, and I said, my mom works at this great food pantry, and it really is an asset to the community, and you're welcome to come and visit. Whatever you could give, no suggested donation, even if it's a nickel, a dime, a dollar, and people just open their wallets, and we're happy to give.
Others who would like to help and aren't able to participate in the event today can always send a check or drop off food for the Helping Hand Food Pantry.
Seeing other people participate in this, how many people actually turned out, especially since it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. Everyone has a busy life or maybe spending time getting ready for Thanksgiving, but they still found the time to come out and help raise money for the food pantry.
Favorite part of the run? Well, to end it, to finish it.
Finishing.
The end. No, it is a really good time. Father Tom, lots of parishioners run. You get to meet lots of folks in the neighborhood, shake hands, folks that you kind of don't get a chance to talk to. It's a good opportunity to bring everyone together for a good cause.
And many good people were brought together last night at Mary Queen of Heaven Church in Flatlands, Brooklyn, to get a start on Thanksgiving and help those hurt by the storm. The evening began the celebration of a Mass of Thanksgiving. The pastor, Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello, presided. Then a Thanksgiving meal, and the guests of honor were neighboring residents who had suffered during the storm. The food came from volunteers and local restaurants. Well, one previously unknown loss caused by the storm affected the New York City Police Department. Evidence from criminal cases washed away by the floods. Police Commissioner Ray Kelly.
It may be some DNA evidence. It may be other types of evidence that was flooded evidence that we kept at our our storage facilities. Significant flooding has taken place, there's no question about it. We're still trying to sort through this and you know, assess the total damage. It's a big job.
The commissioner says some cases may be impacted. Well, next on Currents, a new priest ordained in Brooklyn, and he's married. Details after the break. A new Catholic priest has been ordained in Brooklyn. Father Bilen Gonzalez is now part of the new ordinariate of the Chair of St. Peter. The mass of ordination took place last night at St. James Cathedral. Father Gonzalez is the first former Anglican priest to be ordained a Catholic priest in Brooklyn. The ordinariate is equivalent to a diocese and was formed by Pope Benedict to welcome Anglicans into the Catholic Church. Father Gonzalez is married with 2 daughters. The Pope has given special permission for former Anglican priests who are married to become Catholic priests. Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop Paul Sanchez was the main celebrant at last night's Mass. Father Gonzalez is one of 20 former Anglican priests who have become Catholic clergy this year. The Church of England has surprised many by voting against allowing women to be ordained as bishops. Justin Welby, set to become the next Archbishop of Canterbury, has supported female ordination. Atheists in America have received a no vote from the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices will not overturn a lower court ruling that it's okay for public school students to take religious courses at private schools and receive course credit. Catholic relief work in India is receiving much credit from Muslim refugees. More than 200,000 people are in Indian relief camps displaced by ethnic fighting. The missionaries of charity and other Catholic groups have provided food and supplies. One Muslim woman noted that without the Catholic help, life would be miserable. Well, the hope that life always would find religious groups coming together was behind a Thanksgiving service in Floral Park, Queens.
Tonight, it is our annual Community Interfaith Thanksgiving Gathering, a prayer for healing, hope, and thanksgiving in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. The faith community here at Our Lady of the Snows joins with other faith communities here in Glen Oaks and Floral Park to just simply give thanks to Almighty God for His bounty and goodness shared among us. And what a wonderful thing for us as the parish of Our Lady of the Snows to host this year's Interfaith Thanksgiving service, where we extend a warm welcome to St. Paul's International Lutheran Church in Glen Oaks, as well as the Temple Shalom of Floral Park, as well as the Belrose Jewish Center.
Despite the difference in our religious background, our creed, we are still here as neighbors to each other. Therefore, we should show each other compassion and even, in a sense, of kindness and charity to each other.
We must take that first step towards our sure desire for healing and being restored, always ready to offer a prayer to God who calls us forward.
People get the sense that we are one and we serve one God, and love that unites us, that God's love brings us together and unites us.
I think what is special about it is that we can focus on what we have in common as opposed to what divides us. While we all worship in different ways and we have our own faith traditions and we have our own theological differences, there are certain things that we all can agree on and that brings us together. And the gratitude to God, to the Creator, I think is the most unifying element here.
We look at each other as brothers and sisters, and I just take such tremendous enthusiasm from these events. We learn from each other, we sing with each other, and we love each other. Nothing can be better than that.
There is a community that we have been doing this for years. There are probably some people who are like me, their 40s, whatever, that they were very young when they started doing this.
I hope they leave with a greater sense of community and a sense of faith, especially now in these times with what's happened with the hurricane, and a sense of greater community, feeling they should help more.
I hope that it does give us the opportunity, not just on Thanksgiving Day, to say thank you to the Lord, but also to again and again offer our gratitude to God each and every day of our lives
even to the point of every moment of our lives, that most particularly we realize God is the author of life, that He blesses us at each and every moment of the life He has gifted us with.
Well, besides thanking God, Thanksgiving is also the day for eating turkey and watching football. Now, a turkey called Jimmy Jr. is combining the two. Well, sort of. Tomorrow, the Jets play the New England Patriots. So, 2 football helmets with food on top were set before Jimmy Jr., who went on to pick the Patriots to win the game. His other choices, the Lions over the Texans and Dallas over Washington. Up next, humanity put to the test as Currents continues. And finally tonight, on the eve of Thanksgiving, we remember that Hurricane Sandy has challenged people of faith, but it also strengthened a conviction to help those in need.
They need us. It's hard to leave. We all have it in the heart to help. And these people are showing how much it matters.
But it was almost a need to reach out and help. Certainly, a great number of our parishioners are in need.
It really looked like it was bombed. Everything was all over the place, and that was before there was this stuff in the street. Some homes looked like they weren't touched at all, and others was just ripped apart.
Praying over it, thinking about it, discussing it, we decided to come up with this Project Volunteer, which is a project that we've just begun. And what we're asking people to do is to volunteer their time for either light cleanup or heavy cleanup.
Really in a disaster relief like this, I mean, Catholic Charities, we have a lot of resources that we can offer, but you know, with the magnitude of what's happened here, nobody can really do it alone. So what we try to do is partnership with as many community organizations, many religious organizations, anybody that wants to give back, you know, we want to be a partner with, because really nobody can do this alone. The magnitude of it, the amount of people that have been affected, the numbers are too high. So we appreciate everything that everybody's given us as far as help and in the community, even local police departments, to the local community, to the local governments.
I lost everything I had because of the storm. I had everything at my mom's house in the basement, staying there, and I lost everything I had, but I figured the only way to help myself is to come and help other people. So I came down here to try to help some people out and do whatever I can to lend a hand to other people that lost more than I did.
You can lay down at night and go to sleep and say, you know what, I did something.
I saw so many people, I'd never seen them before, who had come here just to find hope, just to find some kind of peace. Not one of them asked me for anything except prayer. Religion, their faith, which may have been completely far out of their mindset before, brings them to a place at which they have to go to because there's no more stuff to hold on to. And they're afraid, they're shocked, and they need some hope. And they know that there's hope in their faith, and so they come here.
You know, it's like when there's a death in the family, everyone's there in the beginning, but then you get caught up in your own life. But we can't do that. We just got to keep it going. We got to keep helping them. Yep.
God bless them. God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving.